Hello, students. Some of the students posted some good discussions on the discussion board, and I would like to talk about some of them. Let's see what they are. We have talked about them briefly, but these are some important, issues that we want you to know. One student is saying that the student has 401k, and what else do I need to do for the retirement? Which is a great question. Emergency fund. They say that in the US, you always want to have some funds available to you in case if you lose your job, you are dismissed. You want to have between 6 to 12 months of cash reserve. This cash reserve can be in in a format of cash in the bank. Of course, that doesn't earn any interest if it is in a regular, saving account or a checking account. You can look into some, of course, if it is CD, it has a contract. But as we said, there are some funds that you can invest that they give you, some of you have seen, if you have, those of you who have seen, Apple gives, some kind of fund you have. It, says that if you have money in that fund or with the Apple Pay or, Apple Card, they will give you some interest, for example, 4%, 5%. And therefore, that is, you always want to have some emergency fund. Healthcare planning, therefore, HSA, the health saving account, it is an important account, but it is for those who have high deductible insurance. It is around $1,550 of deductible. If you had, in your insurance, health insurance, then you could contribute something around $5,000 to your HSA account. When you contribute, you will receive something like a credit card, a debit card, which has $5,000 in it, for example. You contributed $5,000, you get that card, and you can use it. This is the best type of tax, advantage account. They call it triple tax advantage. Why? Because when you contribute to your HSA, what will happen, let's say if you contribute $5,000, you won't be paying taxes to equivalent to $5,000. How much taxes are you paying for on 5,000? Maybe you are paying $1,000 to the federal, and maybe you are paying $300 to the state. That is $1,300 out of your pocket. But when you contribute it to HSA, that $1,300 remain in your pocket, which means you end up having $5,000 that you can take care of your health. Therefore, your question is that if you don't need to spend $5,000 to go to the doctor this year, that's okay. It stays there. It stays there, as long as you have not used it, you can carry it over for the rest of your life. When you get to some age, I think it is 85 when you are eligible for, for Medicare, then you can convert it and bring it back, cash it, of course, if you cash it, you have to pay taxes on it. If you don't want to pay taxes, just keep it, because let me tell you, when the people, they say that on average, when the people retire, of course, these are for high income people, after they retire from age 65, for example, they have medical expenses of $300,000, for, I don't know, for glasses, for dental, for things that are not covered, nursing home. $300,000 is a lot of money. Therefore, how nice it is if that money was in the HSA account over the period of the time. Now that you could use it, and the good thing is that when you contribute the money to this HSA, don't think that $5,000 can sit there with, without earning any interest. There are some funds that you can invest in it, which means if you are, for example, 30, 40 years old, you contribute $5,000 to HSA, this will grow. Let's say you put it in S&P and it grows at 10, 15% a year. By the time you get to age of 60, that 65, that $5,000 of yours would be something, quadrupled. And that means that would be suddenly $20,000, $25,000. and therefore you will have $25,000 to pay for your. I don't know, I haven't researched, but I can find out whether you can use your Medicare with that as well. Sometimes, as you all know, if you have a Medicare, you have to pay something monthly for about $180. Maybe that fund, I think, can be used for that. We can ask ChatGPT, it will tell us. Therefore, we will have a lot of expenses when we retire. And then, even if you don't want, when you get to age 65, imagine that you are so healthy and you think that it is impossible for you to spend any money for the health. The question would be, what can you do? You can convert it to, you can bring it to other retirement accounts. And then in that case, if you bring it out of HSA, most likely you will be, subject to some certain taxes. And therefore, this is one of the best ways to save taxes. You know why? When it goes, your account goes up. Therefore, you will be using it again. That means on the growth of it, you don't pay taxes. First, you didn't pay any taxes because you contributed here. Then when it grew from, let's say, 5,000 to 25,000, you don't pay taxes on that, growth, which was $20,000. When you withdraw, when I say withdraw, means that you are using for your health, you don't pay any taxes as well. Therefore, these are three ways of saving taxes on this HSA account. Other accounts, at some point, you will pay taxes. For example, for Roth IRA, you pay taxes up front, but in the future, you won't, when it grows, you don't pay any taxes. In traditional IRA, you take some, tax advantage up front. You don't pay taxes, but when you, cash it out, at the end, you have to pay some taxes. But on this HSA, as long as it is used for the health, therefore, you don't pay taxes up front. You don't pay taxes at the end. You don't pay any taxes while they are growing. Therefore, this is a great, way of saving for retirement. And it says that make sure you have a good, investment strategy. Long-term care insurance, it is very important. The people who are, getting closer to retirement, they sometimes buy insurance, healthcare insurance that, therefore, sometimes if you buy while you are not at age of 65, it will cost you less, that, health insurance. And of course, you can think about your Social Security, how you can maximize it. Make sure that you don't have any debt, higher, interest debts are paid. And estate planning that we have not talked, hopefully we will talk in the next few days about it. And therefore, making sure that, you have given power of attorney and the wills are ready and everything. Therefore, and then we come here and there are some more questions. One student is saying that, tell the student that how can a person who is around 50 years old can reduce the risk? Reducing a risk is that you don't want to have a portfolio of high risk. If you are young, you can take some risk. You can buy some little risky, stocks would be fine. But when you are getting closer and closer to retirement, you want your portfolio to be more solid. You don't want it to go up and down. And therefore, your allocation in investment should be balanced. Rule of 100 means that, let's think about it. If you are 100 years old, you think about, let's say if I am 52 years old, maybe it is a good idea that I put 52% of my investment in stocks and 48% of it in bonds, Then when I become 60 years old, maybe I put 60% in, 60% in bonds, and then 40%, because bonds are considered as safer than stocks. When I get 70 years old, maybe I put 70% bond, 30% stocks. That's what it is trying to talk. And then target date funds, there are certain funds that automatically adjust. There are some, software that adjusts it for you. You go and give your detailed information that I am, 50 years old. Some of you who have 401k, there are some, your retirement account, they might have some software. You put your age in it, it has access to your investment, and it automatically adjusts it for you. And also you can, customize it based on, how comfortable you feel, and therefore these are other questions that, annuities. We want you to learn more about annuities and find out what it is. And usually annuities, many people who are getting closer to retirement show interest in annuities. Annuities, the meaning of it is that you give money to an insurance company. You give $100,000, and then they tell the insurance, let's say for example, I am 60 years old and I have $100,000 and I don't want to put it in stocks. I don't want to put it in bonds. And I see, what can I do with this, $100,000? I give it to a very important insurance company to make sure it is an insurance company. It is a solid insurance company. And then I can tell them that I want it deferred because I want it to get the money back at age of 65. Therefore, that is called deferred because I am 60. Therefore, that insurance company gets my $100,000 and it adds every year interest to it. By the time I become 65, that $100,000 most likely will be $120,000, and at that time, it starts giving me back the money every year. That way it's called annuity. Now I can have it as a fixed. That means fixed means that every year for the rest of my life, I ask the insurance that you got my $100,000. By age of 65, most likely it will be $120,000. For the rest of my life, I would ask, if possible, give me $500. That way I feel guaranteed. I know that in addition to my Social Security, I have $500 until, as long as I live. Therefore, that is called fixed because it is $500 for the rest of my life. And I know the problem with that is that $500 5 years from now worth much more than $500 when I am 90 years old, for example. Therefore, that is something that you have to know, the fixed, because the fixed rates don't take into consideration the inflation rates. There are some, annuities that are variable, which means when I give my $100,000 at 65, they, rather than giving me every month $500, they might give me some rates that might fluctuate. 1 month, they might give me $400. 1 month, they might give you $700. Why does it fluctuate? Because it is tied to some kinds of investment. When that investment goes up, I get more money. When that investment comes down, I get less money. That is called variable. Variable, of course, is kind of riskier because it goes up and down, while fixed, is fixed. However, variable might give me more on average, because 1 month it might drop 500 to 400, but a month after might become 650. Therefore, that is something we want you to know. As we said, it is fixed. An annuity can be fixed, can be variable, or it can be indexed annuities. We all talked about Dow Jones Industrial Average, S&P. Sometimes, that company, gets my $100,000 and invests it in S&P, for example. As S&P goes up, I get more. As S&P goes down, I get less. Therefore, that insurance company guarantees. Sometimes it won't guarantee that they will make me. They say, okay, although we are going to put it in a variable for you, but we will guarantee that you will have at least $300 every year for the rest of your life, but we will make it variable. Now, I have one option. Either go with this $500 for the rest of my life, or to go with the variable, knowing that at least I have $300 for sure, as a base, plus some additional. That additional might be $200 extra every month, or it might be $300 or $400 extra, or it might be less than $200. I get my $300 plus another $100. Why does it fluctuate? Because maybe they are indexed. Maybe they are attached to this index. That's how annuities work. And they give me income security. For example, they tell me that they give me $500 for the rest of my life. And then they are tax deferred growth, which means when I give my $100,000 for annuity, when every month the money goes when I am 60, when it goes up, when it becomes $120,000, on those $20,000 while it is going up, I'm not paying any taxes. I pay taxes when it comes back, when that insurance company pays me back when I am 65. That's the meaning of it. Then we can customize annuities, and there are some annuities that are protecting against inflation. There are, as we said, and also estate planning is something that we want to consider. Now, lifespan coverage. This is lifespan. One student had mentioned lifespan is for someone who wants to get annuities for the rest of his or her life. That's for someone, and as we said, sometimes we might not be interested to get annuities for the rest of our lives. Your question is, why is that? Why shouldn't we? Because when I give my $100,000 to the insurance company, I would tell them that, hey, when I get to 65, return this money to me for 5 years. That means that when I get to 65, I will have $120,000, and I'll ask the annuity company, the insurance company, to return this $120,000 in a period of 6 years. If they want to pay it, that means they have to pay me $20,000 a year plus some additional interest, because they are not paying me $120,000 all at once when I am 65. They are paying me $20,000 when I am 66, $20,000 to 67, and then because my money is in their hands, therefore they give me more than $20,000 every year until 20 a year. And when I say 6, let's say I pay to me until I am 71, for example. Why do I want the annuity for 5 years to pay me, not pay me for the rest of my life? I have my own reason, because I want to postpone my social security check, because I know that at age of 70, when I become 70, the social security check that I get is maximized every year from 67 to 68, 69, and 70. My social security check, if I don't get it early, every year 6% goes on top of it. 8%. It increases by 8%. That's a good increase. Therefore, I want to postpone. I want to retire at 65, but I don't want to touch my social security check. I want it to grow, From 65 to 67, it grows at a rate of 5%. From 67 to 70, it grows at a rate of 80%. I don't touch it. I use my annuity, to live. And then when my annuity, I end up using all $120,000 for a period of 5 years, then I will go and get my Social Security, a big paycheck. Now you see, now you understand why sometimes we prefer the annuities not to be a lifetime annuities, because if it was a lifetime annuities, all I could get was that $500 a month for the rest of my life. I don't care, because I know at age of 70 I will have a good, social security check. Therefore, I don't care about that part of, annuity, as long as that annuity can cover me for 5 years. It's a kind of, fixed, a short, annuity rather than life annuity. It is, it doesn't have that annuity. Is not a lifetime coverage. And we said about tax deferral, and it gives, some income. And some students are investing in 403b. You all have heard of 401k, and then 403b is for some organizations that are non-profit. Suppose if you have 403b through your employer, you are contributing. Now you want to invest more. Therefore, in that case, you can open a Roth IRA and contribute maybe $7,500 every year, or traditional IRA. We have talked about this very important account. We already talked about HSA, and you can also open a brokerage account. These brokerage accounts, irregular brokerage accounts, they are not tax advantages if they are not a retirement accounts. And we can, of course, invest in real estates. And these are funds that invest in real estate. And therefore, employer sponsor catch-up contribution, your employers might have more than 401k, the 403b. There are 457, they call it, 403b, they call it. Let's say if you have an income of $100,000, you use $20,000 and you have $80,000 that you can contribute, let's say, to your retirement account. How should you do that? Because IRS finds some ways. Usually they say you can contribute $20,000 of it here. Because you have 80,000, then your employer might have other retirement accounts like 403b. You can put 25,000 there. Then again, there is 457. And that is, you can put another 20,000. You can put part of it in Roth IRA and part of it in HSA. Guess what? When you do that, you won't be paying any interest on it. All of that interest, you won't be paying any taxes on it. Taxes of $8,000, you know how much that is? That is $10,000, $15,000. Why do you want to give that $10,000, $15,000 to the government, federal government and state government? Why don't you want to keep it in your account and get interest on it? Therefore, the smartest way is to find some ways, legal ways, not to pay taxes to the IRS and to the state, tax office. It has to be legal. Therefore, there are other things that we can talk. And sometimes you can talk to financial advisor. When you talk to financial advisors, you have to make sure that that financial advisor is giving you the best advice. There are three types of financial advisors. Some of them have conflict of interest because they might have contract with some brokerage firms or something, and they try to sell their products to you. And of course, there are some who don't have a contract with some, brokerage firms. They are regular, just like accountants. They give you good, advice. The best types of financial advisors are the ones that they charge hourly. There are some financial advisors that they tell you, let us manage your portfolio. You have $100,000, let us make a decision for you. And then they charge you maybe 1% or 2% of your, of the every year. If you have $100,000, if they charge you 1%, that means you have to pay them $1,000. If many of you are accounting students, business students, you have the potential to be your own financial advisor. Which is a great idea. If you understand, you can make a lot of money. You can become a rich person. Therefore, these are all, depends on how much time you spend, and make sure to have discipline in investment, and make sure you are strategizing. The more money you put for, your retirement, the better it is. Now, if you have any questions, you let us know.